So it's 9 o'clock Friday night, and you know what that means.
Oh, hi, Dean. How you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
That's right. We're going to be a little mean. People are going to think that we're being mean today. Today's title is Why Do ExJWs Witnesses Hate Jesus and the Bible So Much? Maybe we got it wrong.
To it with some further research. Want to add to it with some further research and show you friends what Watchtower does with this topic.
So he does say that he's talking about Watchtower here, but let's research a little further.
And because what Watchtower does is they try to polish this turd.
So it's a turd. Watchtower is doing the polishing.
He's calling the Bible a turd.
Matthew 23.
And in the end, a polished turd is still just a polished turd.
See?
Want to add?
And so we did our research. And then why do ExJWs Witnesses hate Jesus and the Bible so much?
Storyline go from Zechariah, the son of Berechias, being stoned and killed in the temple to Zechariah, son of Jehoiada. You're going to sit here and tell me that the Son of God, who's perfect, got this wrong? I can just see all of the apologists dancing all over this now.
Boy, he has a problem with Jesus there. Jesus got it wrong.
And he's got a problem with all the Christians, too.
All the Christians. He picked a fight right there with all the Christians. So what we did...
2.8 billion people in the planet.
Yeah. He picked a fight with them. So why do ExJWs Witnesses, they leave the Watchtower, and Watchtower we know has a problem with Jesus. We were witnesses. They hate Christmas. They hate communion. Yada, yada. Just the list goes on and on. So now there's a small group of people that leave Watchtower, and they're doing the exact same thing. They're hating on Jesus. Like what do you say about hating on Jesus? As if what? As if who didn't do enough?
Yeah, Mike and these atheists, Jehovah's Witnesses, Gilbert, they act like Pontius Pilate didn't do enough. They got to finish it off.
Kind of like putting a nail in the hammer. Huh?
Yeah. Pontius Pilate didn't do enough. They go, you know what? Remember when Dad was alive? He used to tell us that joke that he went outside of church and he saw. He said that he saw 4 guys beating up a homeless guy, and then he asked, "Oh, what happened?" He goes, "I went in there and helped." Oh, okay, so you helped the homeless guy? He goes, No. I helped the other 4 guys, and between us 5, we finished them off. You know, that's what Mike is like, man. It's like Pontius Pilate didn't do enough on Jesus. Mike has to pile on.
So with that said, we decided to get a little bit of help from Grok to say which one would best describe these Bible-hating, Jesus-hating ExJWs Witnesses.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Would it be this one?
Okay, this will be number 1. That's number 1.
Always hating, and then they extend their hate, and not only do they hate Jesus, but they hate.
They're going to kick Santa's ass. So we asked Grok. Wait, go back to 1. We asked Grok, and that's the best I could do. I asked Grok, "Hey, can you put a picture of a ponytail boy, tattooed love boy kicking Santa Claus in the ass?" That's the best I could get.
Okay. And now we have a Bible-hating, angry old man out in the desert. And if you don't like that one, this is the one without the teeth, right? Or if you want, or number 4, you can vote. He's happy to see the Bible burn.
Yeah. Oh, he's a peaceful guy.
So you can vote for number 4, number 3, number 2. I voted 1 because of Santa Claus. I mean,
well, who would vote against Santa Claus? Who would think about it, Gilbert? Who would vote against? Well, I did because I voted for number 2.
Yeah.
Hey, Gilbert, go back.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice the feet, you notice his feet. He has no shoes.
Yeah.
Because it's in New Mexico. Even the heat sucks over there.
Oh, yeah.
Like in Arizona, you couldn't do that. Your feet will burn.
Correct. So why do we? So say this is the problem, and some of the people say, Gilbert, why are you being so mean? No, 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 no. Jesse talks about how when you're Jehovah's Witness, you got to get this through your head. When you're Jehovah's Witness, they want to enter into a ring, a boxing ring, a wrestling ring, and they want to fight you, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? But they don't want you to fight back. Remember how you say that, Jesse, all the time?
Yeah. Jehovah's Witnesses are like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. You ain't going to get nowhere. So what they want you to do is they want you to get in the boxing ring, but they want to tell the official, look, make sure you tie both of his hands and both of his legs behind his back. They don't want you defending yourself.
So then you leave the Jehovah's Witness religion, and then you bash on Jesus Christ, right? You call him a misogynist, a piece of turd, his teachings, and then you expect nobody to fight back. You expect nobody to make fun of you and say that you're a laughingstock, that 2,000 years of the last 2,000 years of human history hasn't taught you that fighting this battle is a losing proposition. So I'm doing Mike Brooks a favor. I'm saying, dude, you're going to lose this fight. This is so, and people say, Gilbert, well, he helped me out. He did this. We're not saying anything to the contrary. But what we're saying is, if you go down this road of fighting Jesus and then fighting all of the people, all of those millions of people that built a nation, they didn't build a nation by calling the words of Jesus Christ polished turds or Jesus a misogynist. You can't build anything of significant value. So here everyone's talking about this ex-Jehovah's Witness community. Well, you're turning the community into a pile of trash, a heap of excrement. You're not going to build anything with this type of behavior, with this type of these kinds of descriptions of Jesus Christ. On the contrary, all of these little dots are cities of thousands of people. And what's built? Roads are built, churches are built, schools are built. And why were they built? By Christian-loving Americans. And now we're going to have Watchtower 2.0 come in. Jesus is fake. He's not real. And then what's next? Well, we know what's next. What did Watchtower do? They started kicking Santa's ass. We used to have a president who loved Jesus, allegedly, and he celebrated Christmas. The second guy comes in and he kicks Santa in the ass. Is this what we want when you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness? You leave and so now I'm making a plea for you to vote for number one, picture number one.
Gilbert, I'm so sorry, but JP's in the house. Can you repeat everything you just said?
Okay. Exactly. PJ voted. Yeah.
PJ voted. Yeah. Who did PJ vote for? Hey, facts only is dropping some heat on us today, putting on some good facts, good information. We'll get to him later. But this guy, keep it up. Keep it up. He has some good ideas. He needs to keep them. But anyways, let's get to JP. Who did he vote for? But wait, it's a secret ballot, so it's really not right to ask who he voted for, huh?
No.
It's not a secret ballot, yeah. You know.
But go ahead. So, Jesse, a lot of people are leaving the Jehovah's Witness religion, and they have to make a decision on which road they're going to go down. I don't want to be the one telling them you have to do this or that, but I would never want to steer them away from. Well,
you and I have a responsibility because we served as elders probably 30 years together. Our time, both of us together in Arizona as elders, and so we have a responsibility to say something, but we really don't have to say anything because you and I have a disagreement. I think Mike's wife is a consummate professional, and it shows in the numbers because you're a numbers guy. You're always talking about gold, silver, dollars. You're a numbers lover. And I'm not that good on numbers like you are.
Okay.
I'm more philosophical, more, you know, a romantic type. But you always say that the numbers don't lie. And me looking at the numbers, when his wife speaks, her numbers are like 2 to 3 times higher. People love her because she's a consummate professional, in my opinion. She's a consummate professional. But when Mike attacks Jesus, the numbers are real low. So I think he does a detriment to himself. He's really hurting himself. And I don't think you and I really have to say anything about it because he's only damaging himself. But by him teaching this antichrist teachings about Jesus being turd, it hurts the faith of a lot of people leaving the Watchtower. And so that's where you and I come in and go, hey, Mike, tone it down, bitch.
And the question is, why is it that these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they leave? Why is it that when they leave,
because they've always hated Jesus from its inception. You can't be a Christian and not worship Jesus Christ. The Jehovah's Witnesses call themselves the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, but they put Jesus in a lower place. Same thing Mikey is doing. They're always lowering the Christ. It's like Judas Iscariot and Pontius Pilate didn't do enough. They got to pile on.
Well, you said that because they never worshiped Jesus. So the concept, when you went to the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, you never once prayed to Jesus Christ. So my question to you is, now that you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness, have you ever prayed to Jesus Christ just once?
All the time. The song says...
A lot of people don't, Jesse. A lot of people don't.
That's fine. But the song says, and I walk with him, and I talk to him, and he tells me I am his own. And the song says, in the garden, I walk in the garden while the dew is still on the roses. And it's okay. It's a liberating. It takes a weight off your shoulders when you pray to Jesus Christ.
But you missed the point that a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, the concept of praying to Jesus Christ is foreign to them.
Yes,
because
correct.
After 20 years, 30 years in the religion, that never happened. So when you ask the questions, why do ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hate Jesus?
Gilbert, I have a theory. I say what you did. Well, for the sake of JP, can you repeat what you just said?
Because they never prayed to him.
Okay, stop right there. Let's examine it. Let's stop right there.
Hold on, who's in charge? No, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Can you stop right there, please? I think JW.org is treading on dangerous waters. This is the thing about Jesus Christ. They say water seeks all level. Water seeks its own level. Jesus Christ seeks its own level. With the Jehovah's Witnesses preaching more about Jesus Christ, I think more people who are disposed to seek Jesus Christ will do that. I think it's a natural yearning of the human spirit to seek our Father, Jesus Christ. Didn't you tell Annabelle? Didn't you tell our sister, who's your father? Is he your father? Is he your God?
No, they asked me a question, and I go, well, if Jesus is the Prince of Peace, then he's also our eternal Father, and he's also our mighty God, right? So if Jesus is a God, then why wouldn't we pray to him?
Right.
I mean, you can't say that Jesus is the Prince of Peace and ignore everything else.
And here's the thing. In the United States, the numbers are flattering. And if you notice, Mike, one of his gospel messages, one of his evangelical gospel messages, atheistic gospel messages, is the declining numbers of Christianity. But that's not true. Globally speaking, yes, in the United States and certain Western European countries, there is a decline in the Christian numbers. But in the whole planet, there is a growth of Christianity. And I would venture to say in the United States too. But a lot of us are the silent majority. A lot of us don't speak up. A lot of us. I would venture to say that even his wife is a believer in Christ. She probably doesn't want to admit it because her husband's such a psycho anti-Jesus hater. But I think she does, because it's only a natural. By believing in Christ, it alleviates the human spirit. Jesus says, take my yoke It is light. And that's what happens when you embrace the worship of Jesus Christ. I'm not saying you have to join a 501c3. I'm not saying that. I agree with Mike when he talks about all that religion is a snare and a rack. I agree with him. But I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not ready to throw out Jesus Christ. I believe religions have lost their way. Yes, I agree with him. I'm not going to fall victim to Watchtower or any other religion. But I'm not going to stop my faith in Jesus Christ because of Matthew 23:45, the son of Jebediah, or Zechariah, son of Zebediah.
So I'm going to keep going back to the question: why do ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hate Jesus in the Bible so much? Well,
that's a great question, Gilbert. Good thing
because,
you're
thank you. Because if you look at the picture, Jesus is fake, and Santa is fake, Christmas is fake. With the Jehovah's Witness religion, everything is fake because everything has pagan origins. Everything. This is fake. That is fake. So this picture is awesome because this picture shows the mentality of the Jehovah's Witness pre-PMO. Right before the Jehovah's Witness becomes a PMO, physically and mentally out, he is of the belief that of the last two words is fake. He believes 4th of July is fake. He believes the Constitution is fake. He believes everything is fake except Jehovah. So then when he learns the truth about the truth and he becomes physically and mentally out, then it's very easy for him to fall into the trap of Jesus is fake. So when somebody like Mike is throwing out a net and saying, Jesus is fake, well, yeah, he's fake just like Christmas, just like Easter. You see? Hence, this is why I voted for picture number 1, but you can vote for picture number 2 or number 3 or number 4.
Okay. I voted for number 2. Can you go to number 2?
Okay.
One of the reasons I voted for number 2 is because since Donald Trump became president, have you noticed that there's Puffy Clouds again? I love Puffy Clouds. Because normally, if we were under the Joe Biden administration, you'd see straight lines. But now that Doge took away all their money, now we've got Puffy Clouds. And if you look at that Puffy Cloud, doesn't it look like it kind of looks like half a bunny rabbit? Like if you were to do one of those Watchtower subliminal images, and if you were to put the cloud back to back, it would be like a bunny rabbit. And that's what I love about number 2.
Well, what I love about number 2 is what Bill Clinton says. It depends on what your definition of is. Jesus is fake.
Is fake. So this is the Bill Clinton version.
The Bill Clinton version. And
it
so
what your definition of Jesus is. It's kind of like Banff.
So why do ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hate Jesus in the Bible so much? Because you leave the Watchtower and you are of the mentality that everything is fake. So it's very easy to fall into this trap. Well, hell, if everything else is fake, then what about this?
But Gilbert, go back to number 1.
Okay.
There's only one is. See right there, Jesus is fake. But go to 2.
Is.
What is that? Is there a subliminal message in that?
That's the Bill Clinton version. Depends on what your definition of the word is.
Okay, I got you. Look at the smoke coming out.
Yeah.
Now look at that. Number 3. The ponytail is very, because I asked Grok, I love number 2, but can you get angry and give me some ponytail? Kind of like, remember in Saturday Night Live, I need more cowbell? I told Grok, I need ponytail. And
it gave you ponytail angry and ponytail happy.
Happy. Because everybody has a right to vote.
But did you notice the difference between number 2 and 3 and 4?
Because you know what? You love mine.
Hold on. He's so angry, Jesse, that look at his butt and his legs.
It's even burning the rocks.
It's even burning the rock. Yeah, even the rock is on fire.
Now, if you look at the smoke on top of his hair, it's got a subliminal message, and I think it says sexy. You see that S right there?
Yeah.
No, the other one. The other one.
Mhm.
It's a subliminal message right there. It says sexy.
Mm.
Mhm.
So,
Because Watchtower does a lot of subliminal messages. We could do it too. So I asked Grok, hey Grok, can you put some subliminal message coming out of that smoke? Maybe say sexy, kind of like Disney.
well, let me speaking not subliminal message, but let me give you the message and the point of this video. Why do ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hate Jesus and the Bible so much? And herein lies the answer.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
So what happens is this is the net.
Fear is the path.
Fear is the path to the dark side. When you are a Jehovah's Witness and you are confronted with the truth about the truth, TTATT, then for the great majority of people, they experience a fear. They become afraid. A fear overcomes them. You hear this all the time. And then it's just so many emotions are going through their head. When I was interviewed about my life experience, learning the truth about the truth, I was happy because it made sense. I thought, okay, now it's our turn. Just like they killed Jesus, just like they killed John the Baptist, just like Moses, they try to kill him. They're going to do the same to us. It's just deja vu. This is going to happen all over again. But the great majority of Jehovah's Witnesses, the great majority of them, they don't fall into that category because they don't leave for the spirit. They leave Watchtower for the flesh, or for the flesh. They don't leave for the spirit. So when you leave for the flesh, then you fall. It's very possible for you to fall into the trap of fear. And he says, fear is the path to the dark side.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger.
And that's what happens. All of these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are angry as hell that they've been lied to, like a person who's been lied to by their spouse. And they find out that their spouse wasn't just cheating on them. They were a professional prostitute. Imagine you find out, it's like, my friend Joe, he found out his wife was cheating on him. Yeah, he's heartbroken. But my other friend John, his wife was a prostitute, like working for a living. I mean, he's going to get angry. That fear now turns into anger.
Kind of like Cool Hand Luke. I'm shaking it, boss.
I'm shaking it.
Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And therein lies the hate. And therein lies this. You hate the Bible. You hate Santa Claus. You hate everything, religion. You even hate when you're smiling. You just love to hate. And that's the path to suffering. And so a lot of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses says, why am I suffering so much? Could it be that you are fearful people, that you're an angry people, a hateful people? And when you understand these things, now you have to control your emotions, keep them in check. You got to keep fear in check, anger in check, and hate in check. Go ahead.
Okay, but we talk about the wheat and the weeds. We talk about the good and the bad, right and wrong. There's the yin and the yang. Could it be that some people were born genetically disposed to hate Jesus Christ? And that when they go door to door in a worldwide campaign, you're looking for these people, like the wheat and the weeds. And you make a synopsis with people who naturally hate Jesus Christ. Because if you love Jesus Christ, like for instance, Mike calls us holy rollers. What's that word he uses? The apologist. And have you noticed that you and I, we're always talking about Jesus, but we're the ones who are never holding up a Bible? Isn't there an irony? He hates Jesus and he's always holding up a Bible. He's the one who tells us he has 25. Maybe if he were to just let the Bible down a little bit and just start loving Jesus,
Now Daniel Sidlick talks about the governing body member. Talks about one of his Bible studies. real tall, big Jewish guy, and he would go door to door, and then he would knock and says hello, and people would be kind of intimidated by his size, right?
Right.
And he would speak with a really soft voice, and he says that he's looking for Jehovah's sheep, kind of like what you're talking about. And this is a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, hear stuff like this, that we're out there going door to door looking for Jehovah's sheep. So that's very insightful of you, because
thank you.
Instead of going exactly.
Hey, Gilbert, thank you. Because
exactly.
I do all the research here,
Yeah. So instead of going out door to door preaching because you're trying to spread the gospel message,
yeah.
Well, maybe there's something into what Daniel Sillick was saying. It's like, hey, we're not going door to door to preach the gospel message. We're going door to door to find the weeds.
Or birds of a feather.
Jehovah's sheep. Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together. So there might be people who are predisposed to hate Jesus Christ. Because what I'm saying is this is what I'm saying. Like, let's think about baseball. I always try to look through the prism of baseball, People go, hey, how do you keep an interest in a woman so much? And I go, well, I try to think about baseball all the time, Anyways, but that's beside the point. But one of the greatest heroes that I had when I was a kid was this gentleman by the name of Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron died during COVID, a couple of weeks after he took the COVID injection, after he was telling everybody in his race to take the COVID vaccine. And everybody in the government tells us that, no, he died of natural causes. That's fine. Okay, he could die of natural causes. But there's an instinct in us that says, maybe there was something else involved. It's the same thing. Dead man tells no tales. At the end of the day, he's still dead. And that's what I'm saying with Mike. At the end of the day, wouldn't it be better to err on the side of caution? Wouldn't it have been better for that son of a bitch, Hank Aaron, to err on the side of caution? At the end of the day, he still died after he took the jabby yabby. He died. What if he had a little bit of err on the side of caution? COVID wouldn't have killed him.
No.
Natural cause, Mike.
Err on the side of caution. Caution would be, don't ever take free drugs. We were taught that.
But this guy, he's telling you to not err on the side, to drop Jesus Christ. And what we're saying is that when we see great forces are on the move, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And what we're saying is we want to put all of our faith in Jesus Christ. We're not saying we're putting it in the Catholic Church or the Baptist Church or the Episcopal Church or the Lutheran Church or the Methodist. We're not saying that.
So you're saying that the COVID virus, that's out there, is equivalent to all of the problems like in the world. So do we put our faith in pharmaceutical companies? Or when
a lot of people say, I'm not going to have no faith in Jesus. Then they go put their faith in something else.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're still dead. You're dead. Wouldn't it have been better to put your faith in Jesus Christ, who is alive?
Yeah, Rick Farron uses that analogy when he talks about that, like a betting, like an insurance policy. Yeah, like it's just simple. It's just a simple reasoning. Yeah.
No, but they don't. They have a visceral hate for Jesus Christ. Why is that? Well, Jesus answered that when he was on earth. He goes, you are from your father, Jesus answered that question. And so knowing that people that hate Jesus Christ, nothing good comes out of Western civilization. Of all the lessons of our history in our civilization, nothing good comes out of betting against Jesus Christ. Nothing.
And the scary part about that, because something I don't like to talk about because I'm not an expert on it, and you and I talked about it in the very beginning when Eve was pregnant, and what did God say that He was going to put enmity between the two seeds.
Correct.
So the two seeds were going to be growing out of the womb of women, and so in the case of Eve, one of her children, well, the story of Eve's kids. And so that's what we're saying is that when Jesus said that to the religious leaders and Watchtower was going door to door knocking, looking for Jehovah's sheep, are people born, you know,
Jehovah's sheep.
are they born Jehovah's sheep?
Could be.
I don't know the answer to that question. I
Could be.
hope that's not the case.
To quote the great Bugs Bunny, could be.
Mhm.
Hey, but here's another thing. Nobody dies saying, "Oh man, I wish I didn't spend my life worshiping Jesus."
Mhm.
Nobody in Western civilization in the last 2,000 years says, "I wish I didn't live my life following Christ."
Mhm.
But people do die saying, "I wish I could have given more to Christ." There is a regret in not worshiping Christ. The regret is never in worshiping Christ.
Mhm. And also, one of the regrets is this: is fighting Jesus and not being content that you don't like Jesus, because you know what, Jesus, you did me wrong. I try to do right by you, and look what happened. Okay, fine. But to take it out and then go and try to fish other people and have them join you in their visceral hate for Santa Claus and Jesus Christ and the Bible. Well, that would be a very regretful thing. One thing is to go on your own and have have hurt feelings with Jesus Christ. Totally understand that. Totally understand. But to go round up people and a mob and use your mob friends to say, yeah, let's all hate, let's join a Jesus hating club.
Jesus addressed it. He says, "Take my yoke, it is light." Jesus is not asking you to pay taxes. Jesus is not asking you to put in a field service or a time card. Jesus is not asking you to do nothing. He says, "Take my yoke, it is light." You embrace Jesus Christ. I'm not even telling you to join a religion. You embrace Jesus Christ and you feel a weight come off of your shoulder. The yoke of Jesus is light.
Mm-hmm. So Dehydrated Nurse goes, Gilbert, what's up with the poll? There are no pictures. Yeah, here are the pictures. Which one is the best? This one?
What?
Right? Jesus is fake and he's fighting.
Number one.
Jesus is fake and he's burning the Bible.
And he's angry.
And he's using the Bill Clinton is, or he's so pissed off that even the rock is burning.
And he has a ponytail.
Or he's happy with the ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
And just his bottom is burning. I'm beginning to like number 4.
Well, it looks like number 1 is in the lead right now. The one you voted for. You're starting to like number 4?
I'm starting to like number 4. And the reason why is because he still has that hate, which is burning up the rock. But there's a sense of relief, you know.
But if you notice the smoke coming out of his hair, it looks like a subliminal message.
Okay. Yeah. That's some crazy.
It looks what I call Watchtower-esque. Yeah. I wonder what Dehydrated Nurse voted for. Yeah.
Wow. So
now this is the problem. Is there a responsibility that a Jehovah's Witness who leaves the organization has to counsel those that are leaving? That's a very good question. Can
you say it one more time?
Is there a responsibility an ex-Jehovah's Witness has to the Jehovah's Witness organization, whether he will counsel for or against the belief in Jesus Christ? Or, better said, in any faith, or for or against faith? Well, I don't have an answer to that question because it's a moral and ethical question. But we do have what you and I are saying is that, listen, Mike, you are the arbiter in the Jehovah's Witness community of hating on Jesus and Santa Claus and everything. And so me and Gilbert are just pushing back. That's all we're doing. We're just pushing back. Now, you said Edmund Burke quoted what?
Well, Edmund Burke is one that says the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
And Ronald Reagan said this. I'm going to try to quote it correctly. Ronald Reagan says, inevitably, there is a risk in every course we choose, but the greater risk lies in appeasement, in doing nothing. And so you and I, we couldn't shut our pie holes. We had to say something. Now, we notice in the Jehovah's Witness community, ExJWs, that it's easier for everybody not to say nothing. Nobody wants to criticize Mike, for example. Mike wants to be Pontius Pilate Jr. And kick Jesus's ass. And nobody in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community wants to say anything. And so you and I are saying, hey, the emperor has no clothes. We're going to kick this white boy's ass. Let us punch back. Here I am. Send me. We want a good scrap with this guy. All he is an angry old ponytail tattooed love boy.
Who's hating on Jesus. And I'm saying that everything that you see behind me, all those dots, created by people who love Jesus.
Right.
So no, Jesus isn't fake. And it's an insult to the millions of people that came before you. Right here. Now, does it mean that Mike is going to die in Gehenna, or is he going to burn in hell? No, we're not saying that. No,
hey, Gilbert, Julian Watson puts down a very good point. He says that number 4 looks like he's crop dusting and enjoying his fragrance. Oh my God. It does, huh? Because you and I thought maybe he was melting the rocks because he was so, but that's like the face of relief. So Grok AI kind of let us down on that one.
Yeah. And I went with 1 because of the confrontational nature. Yeah. I mean, shit. Don't nobody get in his way. I mean, he's willing to kick Santa's ass.
Yeah.
And what is Santa's foot on? Is like a sleigh or something? I don't know. But anyways, that's it. 1, 2, 3. Which one did you vote for?
I voted for number 2. What's number 3? See, that's good right there.
Yeah, 2 and 3 are the same. It's just the tooth, and then also the
ponytail,
the ponytail and the rock. Yeah. So I think 3 is better than 2. He hasn't he dressed up as Santa before? Yeah. Gosh, I got a trigger from the JWs, the comparison Santa versus Satan, jumbling the letters a tad. Whoa. What is TBH when I finally left? To
be honest, when I initially left, I didn't open my Bible for a year. There's nothing wrong with that. And see, we're not saying that you have to follow any religion. We're not saying that. But I think at the core, I think, Gilbert, tell me if I'm right. Now, people who follow our channel, we're not pushing Jesus on anybody. We're not trying to be evangelical. We're not trying to tell anybody anything, to follow any religion. We're not telling you to read the Bible or do anything. But what we are saying is that, hey, saying that Jesus is a turd is a line you crossed in the sand. We're not going to tolerate that because we believe in Jesus Christ. And we think that you could be borderline antichrist.
And I would say the reason we don't push like evangelical in our preaching, right? You got to be saved and all that stuff, is because we believe that you are a grown-ass man, you're a grown woman, and that you could figure this out on your own. You really can. You have read enough of the Bible on your own at the Kingdom Hall. As a Jehovah's Witness, you have done enough. You can make an educated guess. You can do it. And if you get rid of the fear, the anger, and the hate, you will make a wise choice. It's a simple concept.
Now,
And you will not fight Santa in the process.
you know what, Gilbert? You're onto something, because if you look at our voting, it seems like Santa Claus is winning, because who in their right mind would vote against Santa? You know, I mean, he gives free gifts to people and he brings joy, merriment to people. I mean, the dude is a pretty cool dude, huh? Sometimes people say, hey, Santa Claus is fake. Well, so is our fucking border on the south. You didn't say nothing about that. It was more dangerous to believe that you had a border during the Joe Biden administration than there is to believe in Santa. That did more damage to our country.
Well, speaking of that doing more damage, this guy is saying what I said in the last video. Mike's angry attitude serves Watchtower more than it hurts that cult. Much like Lloyd Evans' behavior serves Watchtower, supplying stereotypical poster boy angry apostates. And that's what I said. If I had my place as the governing body of Jehovah's Witness, I would use the Lloyd Evans scandal. I have nothing against Lloyd Evans, but I would use that scandal and says, you know what? When you leave Jehovah, you probably will be in fucking Thailand as well. I would write that out. I would use that as and then to prove JW whistleblower's point, if I was in the governing body, I would get that video that Mike did, the one that we were referencing, and this is what I would do. I would tell everybody in the congregation, listen to this.
Name of the Lord. Capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, which would be Jehovah. Backtrack that to Yahweh. Backtrack that to El Shaddai. Backtrack that to El Elyon. I've done all the research. The Canaanite God.
So Mike is stuck on stupid saying that Jehovah is Satan. And I would not, as a member of the governing body, would not, according to JW whistleblower is kind of in the same page. I would be like, you leave Jehovah, you're going to start saying that Jehovah is Satan. I would use the Satan card, kind of like the church lady. Is it Satan? I would scare children. I would scare little boys and little girls. If you leave Jehovah, you're going to start calling him Satan. I mean, I'll give you some nightmares.
Well, there is some basis in that. If you go to North Korea after the Korean War, there was some defectors in 1950s, 1951, 52, American defectors who had children in North Korea. They used the defectors in their videos to portray Americans. Is what you're saying. JW.org can use us as apostates angry and says, look, this is what you guys are going to be if you leave Jehovah. And Mikey is one flew over the cuckoo's nest, angry. And so he's actually helping the Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's what he's saying.
A lot of us did the same thing. And we talk about it too.
Listen, you're right. I went ape shit crazy on my sister when I flew the banner over the Jack Murphy Stadium, and I caused a huge scene. And you're right, Jesse. So what happened to my sister? She became a Jehovah's Witness rock star in our city and down in Yuma, Arizona. So yeah, sometimes when you go ape shit crazy as an apostate, yeah, it serves its purpose. But one of the effects that it has it makes people want it scares people from leaving. And in my case, it made my sister a superstar.
Yes. Yeah. In other words, yeah. And we said that over and over. Mike was correct in his argument. I think you and I established that we feel, our opinion, that when he talked about Matthew 23:35, when he talked about those verses, he was correct that there seems to be a contradiction. Yes, touche. Mike is correct. But it's not a faith-ending argument.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to set your eternal salvation on. And if that's the case, I hope Mikey never gets nowhere near a lottery ticket or a casino, because that son of a bitch will lose every time. He puts all his numbers on the losing hand.
And that's what we put on the last video. You know, that should Mike own a Bible? That was the question. Mike with a Bible is a very dangerous individual. And you know, to answer Cappy's to comment on that,
this is a beautiful comment. This is a beautiful
I like it too. But let me tell you why I think it's beautiful. Because it says if they think the Sermon on the Mount is turd, they just see a religion Jesus was not religious, but fought for the oppressed by the political and religious haters of all that is good. And you know what, Kat? When Mahatma Gandhi was asked if he was a Christian, because he studied in London, right? And he was very well versed in Christianity because the British were occupiers of India. So he also studied. He was a lawyer, right? So he said, when they asked him if he's a Christian, here's a Hindu guy, right? He goes, if you're asking that if I were to put into practice all of the words of Jesus Christ and my interpretation of his words on the Sermon on the Mount, and only that, and only my interpretation, Gandhi says, oh yes, I would not hesitate to say that I'm a Christian. Gandhi had no problem saying, you know what, you got the Sermon on the Mount right here? Yeah, I'm a Christian. Just me, the Sermon on the Mount, and my interpretation of it, I don't have a problem with this. So she's absolutely right that Jesus, like you, and that goes back to what you were saying about Jesus saying his yoke is light. When you just break down the simple teachings of Jesus Christ, there's no reason to be calling his words turd. When all of the civilization behind us,
and there's an obligation. Good men have an obligation to say, look, Mike, you crossed the line. There's a red line. You don't call the words of Jesus Christ turd. You could say that the words of Matthew 23 and the words of the New World Translation and the King James Version are wrong. Yes, you can say that. And there is a lot of study and research in that field. And he thinks he's the first one to come across that. They've been studying this for thousands of years. So Mike is correct, but he's not the first one to come up with this. Yes, there's an error in that. But it's not a defining version of the faith of the Christians, Matthew 23:35.
Yeah.
Now, the words of Jesus Christ are, because they changed civilization. Jesus, can't be a saint, was one who fought for the oppressed. And then Julian Watson says, well, maybe Jesus is trolling Mike. Listen, never in our observable universe does the creation become greater, or does the created come above the creator. Never does the creator become subordinate of the creation. But in the case of Jesus Christ, it's unique in the history of all scientific research and study and everything in the observable universe, where the creator becomes subordinate to the creation. Jesus Christ gave his life for everything. So, no, he would never troll nobody. You and I will troll people. Julian Watson will troll people, but not Jesus Christ is incapable because he is giving his life. Now, when Jesus Christ gave his life, the entire universe was in the balance. Why do you think the sky went dark? Why do you think there was earthquake and everything? Because it was the end of the creator, Jesus Christ. It was the life of every angelic creature. Every human was in the balance. It's like if the Milky Way cracked in our observable universe.
So in this video, when I did the flyover of the convention, this is the reason I show it. And there is the airplane out there. Oh no. Wow. So that plane, so was this that plane you guys got up in 2016? This was 2016 or 2019.
Yeah, that was
in deeper. So yeah, I've heard sometimes that so-called aggressive activism scares some back in deeper. Absolutely, that's what we're saying. Yes, and so by Mike calling Jehovah Satan, Jesus words on Matthew 23 heard, and Jesus a misogynist. Well, yeah, that scares people back in deeper. It can.
And do you see what I was saying about his wife, his partner in the business of his show? His other partner, I won't say wife or nothing, but the other partner is a consummate professional. Because she keeps it on the professional level, and she keeps her target on the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And that's why I always say she's a consummate professional, and she's someone to be admired and respected and copied. If I was an apostate of that magnitude, I would want to be like her. But Mike trains his sights on Jesus Christ. It's different. And that probably scares the hell out of all the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what? She goes, Muhammad Gandhi believed that if the world lived by teachings of Sermon on the Mount, it would become a place of peace and justice. Well, this wasn't it. I was trying to find another one. See if I can. Gand. Let me see if I have another one. Gan. Let me see this one. No. So what happened is this. He's talking to the Viceroy of the Viceroy is not just in Star Wars. The Viceroy of India is the one who reports to the Queen or the King. So like when the Queen calls India, she talks to the Viceroy. He's the guy that answers the phone in their territory.
Like a super strong ambassador.
Yeah. So you Canadians think that you guys are a country? No, you guys are a state, and you have a viceroy, and that viceroy answers the phone to King Charles. So here's a point. So allegedly they had a conversation, the viceroy and Gandhi, and Gandhi said that when your country, he's basically telling the viceroy, you need to start looking at the rafter in your eye, not the straw in ours. Because he says, when your country and ours live by the words of Jesus Christ on the Sermon on the Mount, we will not only solve our problems, but that of the entire world. That's what Gandhi told this guy. So here you are preaching Jesus in our country, but the reason we're fighting each other is because you guys don't live up to the words of Jesus Christ. So it was Gandhi's way of acknowledging, yes, you're right, but you're also a hypocrite. So yeah, Cappy, you're right on that comment.
Hey, Gilbert,
and Viceroy on a search, and you'll find it. Go ahead.
And another thing, like Julian Watson gave a comment, but I don't understand it. So we'll go back to it. Julian has a good point. And he has to forgive me. I don't understand the essence of the question. So he has a question in there, and if he can clarify it, and I ask him forgiveness. I just don't understand the essence of the question. But here's what I was going to say. There's a point where John F. Kennedy, I love John F. Kennedy's speeches. I don't agree with everything he said, but he was a beautiful speaker, and he believed in poetry. He believed in history. And he talks about the story. And if you go back and listen to John F. Kennedy's speeches, he talks a lot about Greek mythology and Greek history and the history of Athens, the city-state of Athens. I don't know if there's any girls in the comment section. Do I have to explain what a city-state is?
No.
Okay. Anyways, the city-state of Athens in ancient Greece. Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said that man, forgive me. John F. Kennedy says that in that ancient time in Athens, in the history of Athens, there was an obligation for the citizenry to be involved in the controversies of the day. That means, you know how here everybody sees no evil, hears no evil, says no evil? For example, Mike says that Jesus is a turd and his words are a turd and the Bible is a turd. And the majority of us in the ExJW community, we hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. We just shut up. We don't want to talk about it. What John F. Kennedy was teaching Americans, hey, you as a citizen have an obligation to state an opinion on this. Because what this guy is saying is of monumental consequence. And you must have an opinion on it. If you listen today in 2025 to Robert Kennedy, he talks about that, about the jabby yabby. He says that every individual citizen has a right to do his own research and has a moral obligation to do his own research. And that's what we're saying about this. We as apostates all have an obligation to say, Mike, there is a line we shouldn't cross. And calling Jesus and his words turds is one that you crossed. And we as your brother are saying, no, we're going to push back. Mm-hmm. Ponytail love boy.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. No, but that's a good point because look at David kind of agrees with you. Great point about Gandhi, like Martin Luther King here in the 1560s. But once in a while, a little touch of Malcolm X serves purpose. Kind of like Jesus overturning the money changer's table. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, it's sometimes a can of whoop ass does have to be opened up. And then Julian says, "You say she's a consummate professional." I guess he's referring to she.
Okay. I didn't understand.
That just enables Mike behind the scenes.
Okay, that's
good.
One
man's opinion. That's one man's opinion.
No. That's a great opinion because you and I have gotten a fight about it. Julian, and we honor Julian Watson's comment. Can you put it back up there?
Yeah. We fight about this. Yeah.
Yes, Julian, we honor your comment. It is we have exactly, me and Gilbert have thrown blows over this behind the scenes. You say she is a consummate, but that could be, that could be a guy that just, I don't believe so because I really believe she's a consummate professional. Because when Mike goes on a rant, I've heard her say in a whispered voice that she has faith. Mm-hmm. I've heard her with my own ears and my own eyes. I've seen it. That's why I believe she's a consummate professional. I really do. But I think she loves her husband so much that she allows him to rant. Do you understand? And they have a business partnership. I really think that we're witnessing a consummate professional in Kim. I really do. I really do believe it. Because she has an obligation to be a wife and a business partner. She's the ultimate. If my wife and I had a show like this, I think my wife would be like that. And I would want my wife to be like that. To give me the leeway to give my stupid rant, but go on with the business. That's why I say, that's why it's my theory that she's the consummate professional. If I was in that position, I would want to be like her. I would want to emulate her. That's just my opinion.
Hey, so there is a little bit of Captain Morgan right here. I like that. There is a little. And number 3 is awesome because of the steam on the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
The steam, yeah. But I voted 1 because damn, man.
Jesus, so who's the winner? Who's the winner?
Well, let's find out. Oops. I don't know how. Can we close? Ooh. I don't know if we can close the poll. I think I can. You want me to close the poll?
Yeah, if you can. Julian wants to run mics.
And the poll.
Because we're coming up on 1 hour. So there it is. It was number 1, the one you said. Mm-hmm. I came in second. It's tied for second and third.
Mm-hmm. All right. That was a good poll, huh?
That was a good poll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like Rutherford, man, You get a Jesus hater in there, and then next thing you know, they're attacking Santa Claus. And here he is. Can you grant me privileges of running the microphones at the Kingdom Hall? No. And then, no, I wouldn't say that is an alcoholic. I don't think so.
No. We're not saying that. That's no.
What we're saying is that he looks like Captain Rum on this guy, Captain Morgan.
No,
Rum.
all we're saying is very simple. Mikey is jealous of Pontius Pilate.
Yeah.
He wants an ass kicking on Jesus. He's not. Yeah. He thinks Jesus didn't get enough. Him and Watchtower want to pile on Jesus. And in the fight against Jesus, Mikey and Watchtower are on the same side.
Mm-hmm. And I think I explained myself very well and answered the question, why do ex-Jehovah's Witnesses hate Jesus in the Bible so much? Because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And if you do not get control of these emotions, you will suffer. You will end up suffering, like Yoda says. Go ahead.
And in this world we live in right now, it's full of Jesus haters everywhere, all over the planet. All over the planet, Jesus haters. People don't. And so it's really, and Christianity is growing. Contrary to what Mike preaches, Christianity in the planet is growing. Look, Mikey and I will be dead tomorrow, but Christianity will still be here. Christianity was here 2,000 years ago. Jesus is the word. It'll always be. It's a great privilege to err on the side of Jesus Christ. It's a great honor. It's foolish and a folly to bet against Jesus Christ for our civilization and for our eternal salvation. Now, we don't choose Jesus because of our eternal salvation. We choose him because of the love we have for his word. He is the word. Mikey calls it turd. And so we say, okay, game on. We're going to fight now, bitch. Now, people say, Jesse, you cuss and you call Mike bitch. Well, hold on. I never said that I was a preacher. I never said I was a born-again Christian. I never said I was a Jehovah's Witness elder anymore. I left the elder. And now I could go mano a mano with you, ponytail love boy.
That's not what Julian says. Come on, man. I get 10 hours a month and you said my comment was great. Come on, Elder Jesse. So, yeah, you're an elder there. But that's a good point. And my only thing is the reason I love Jesus is because the Bible says that he loved us first. So, just like, why do we love my mom and dad? Because they loved us first. We were babies. We didn't know what love was, but they loved us before they loved us first. So, same thing with Jesus. How could you not love Jesus? He loved us first. And then you go and beat up on Santa Claus? Oh, come on, man.
Gilbert, who beats up on Santa Claus? Every Democrat votes for Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. I mean, Santa Claus is giving you free everything. Mm-hmm. It's impossible.
I think JW.org made us hate religion. Non-Jehovah's Witnesses as apostates. So now it's a Grinch to the ExJW?
Yeah, he's right. I could see that. Mm-hmm. It hurts the spirituality of many people, of all people. Yes, they do.
And that will be Ricky's point, is that Mike needs to understand that not only are you hurting yourself by hating on Jesus, you're also hurting the people that listen to you and love you.
And you're not building up Western civilization. And I keep pointing that. You're not building. Like when we built our great country, the United States of America, contrary to popular opinion, these men were not deists. These men were Christians.
Okay. So ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. There it is. And I love the poll. We need to do more polls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why Polish?
What do you mean Polish?
We said we need to do more polls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it. So hey, 6 screens tomorrow, man.
Yeah. What is Rick? Hey, Ricky Bobby. Is Ricky Bobby gonna run the 6 screens?
I hope so. I hope so. Oh my god.
Hey, I heard Ricky Bobby's got a new show in the 6 screens.
Yeah, what's it called?
The Sex Screams of the Watchtower.
The Sex Screens of the Watchtower.
Screams.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Shit, man, he's kicking it up a notch.
He's taking it up a notch. Yeah.
Like Emerald Lagasse, yeah.
Yeah.
Kicking it up a notch. All right, man. That's
He's
it.
also going to have a music show.
What's that music?
Tattooed Love Boys.
Mhm.
All right, Gilbert. It's 1 hour.
All right, yeah, let's get out of here.
We thank everybody for their comments. And you know what? You got to forgive your comment section, because contrary to what we see in other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, your comment section has some of the most insightful comments, some of the most well-versed comments on YouTube, like Julian Watson, Ricky Bobby, Dehydrated Nurse. These are some of the great, John Marciano, Gilbert. These are some of the best comments on any ex-Jehovah's Witness channel. Not JP. JP checks in, checks out. PJ, what you call him?
PJ, and that's what Rick Farron called him. So, but anyways, make a long story short, speaking of that, no one's heard of King of Dots lately. You know, we don't know if he's alive or anything. Hopefully,
Gilbert, could he have gotten abducted?
He could have got abducted.
Because there's been a lot of strange with Elon Musk and all that space shit.
King of Dots has been abducted. We haven't heard from him in a while.
King of Dots has been abducted. He got taken to Cleveland. He left Cincinnati.
Did Kim get to vote? I don't think so, but yeah. So, all right, man. Hey, we got to go, Jesse. Thanks for voting, guys. And if you didn't check it out live, vote in the comment section. I think number 1 was the best. I think we're going to end it with number 1. All right. Talk to you guys in the next. See you guys tomorrow. King of Dots got deported. That's how we end the show. King of Dots got deported.